Hello, my name is Temilishe.
And my name is Sheree. We're from an organisation called Gay and Lesbian Memory in Action. We don't know your name, but we know that you're watching this video tutorial because you need information on hate crimes against LGBTI people.
Perhaps you're confused as to what hate crimes and hate speech mean. Perhaps you, a friend, or a loved one have been a victim of hate crime and would like to know what your rights are and where you can get help and support.
Whatever the reason, this video tutorial will help answer some of those questions.
In this video, we'll be explaining what hate crime and hate speech means. We'll also explain what South African law says about hate crime and hate speech. There's a second video in this series that explains what you can do as a victim of a hate crime and where you can get support.
There's a lot of information in this video tutorial, so we suggest that you download the free fact sheet off the ASIPepe website, www.asipepe.org.za. This website also has a lot of contact details for support and service providers in your area.
We all know that the law can be a bit confusing, so let's start at the beginning. Let's explain what hate crime and hate speech means.
Crimes take place all over the world and can happen to anyone, whether you're white, black, rich, poor, male or female. A hate crime is a criminal offence. It is motivated by prejudice or hatred towards a person's particular characteristic or group to which they belong to. This means that the offender deliberately caused harm to the victim because they did not like a particular characteristic or group in which this person belonged to, such as the way that they express their gender identity, their country of origin, their religion, their race, their sexuality.
Hate crimes can take many forms, and here are some of the examples of hate crimes in South Africa. Murder or attempted murder, rape or sexual assault, intimidation, harassment, physical attacks, blackmail, damage to property. For example, if someone breaks a woman's car window because they're a lesbian, or illegal eviction. Another example, if a landlord or when a landlord evicts someone because they're gay.
Hate crimes can happen to a person, property, or an organization. This is because a hate crime is defined by the motivation and intention behind the offender's act, not necessarily the form in which the crime took place. Hate crimes can happen in public spaces, such as schools, the workplace, a taxi rank, even in a person's home.
The people that commit hate crimes could be strangers, or the victim might know the perpetrator personally or from somewhere else. They could be their neighbor or their boss. The person that commits a hate crime could also be someone that is related to the victim.
Now, not all crimes are considered hate crimes. For it to be considered a hate crime, it needs to have two things. Firstly, it needs to be a crime under the South African law. And secondly, the victim must have been chosen because the offender dislikes something about the victim. Perhaps a personal characteristic or group to which the victim belongs to.
Let's use an example. If someone punches me because I'm a lesbian, that is, the person attacked me because of my sexuality, then that act is a hate crime.
Especially if the act consists of homophobic slurs or words against the victim before, during, or after the attack.
Yes. However, if someone punches me and takes my bag, that does not mean it's a hate crime. It is a crime, but not a hate crime, and therefore it needs to be reported.
Hate speech is a little bit more difficult to define because there are so many different ways that people explain it. But to make it a little easier to understand, hate speech is often in the form of written or spoken words which spread or justify a reason for hating a particular group or person.
Let's use another example to explain hate speech. If a community leader says publicly that it's okay or good to attack someone because they're transgendered, because it's a sin or unnatural, that could be regarded as hate speech because it encourages hatred towards a particular group of people or person because they are transgendered.
Hate crimes are very different from other crimes. They terrorize not only the victim, but also the community to which the victim belongs to. Hate crimes are often called message crimes. This is because the person who commits the crime intends to send a message or a threat to a community. The crime is intended to frighten the community in thinking that more crimes of that nature is expected because they are not welcomed, just because of who they are. Let me give you an example to help you understand this better. If a lesbian is raped because of her sexuality, the offender intended to hurt the victim as well as send a message to other lesbians that they are wrong or that they are bad. The crime is also a threat for other lesbians to know that similar attacks should be expected unless they change. Hate crimes can be very traumatic. Victims of hate crimes often experience sleepless nights, nightmares, depression, anxiety, anger, fear, and headaches. It has both an emotional and mental impact. Sometimes victims of hate crimes act strangely, behave in a weird manner, and often affects their relationships. If you're a victim of hate crime, it is important that you receive support. Thembelihle and I will be talking about support in this next video. You need to remember that it is not your fault. You are not responsible. Hate crimes are both wrong and illegal. Everyone has the right to be safe, regardless of your sexuality or gender.
Our Constitution says everyone has the right to be treated with respect and dignity, and to be safe and secure. Section 9 of the Constitution outlaws discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. People who commit hate crimes can only be brought to justice if you report these crimes. While hate crimes have not yet been recognized as a separate crime category under South African law, this does not mean you cannot report these crimes. South Africa has laws and policies that address discrimination, including the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act. The Victim Empowerment Program has policies that recognize hate crime victims as a #1 priority target group for support. The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has been drafting a policy that will combat hate crimes, hate speech, and intentional unfair discrimination. This might sound all very technical and legal, but what's important to remember is that you are protected under law against discrimination on the basis of your sexuality and gender identity.
We hope that we have helped answer some of your questions about hate crimes and hate speech.
If you have been the victim of a hate crime and would like to learn more about getting help and support, we suggest you watch the second video tutorial on this topic.
Thank you for watching this video.